Americans use these idioms in daily life. Do you? Part 1. Have you ever walked into a room and felt awkward? No one is talking. People are looking at their phones. Everyone feels a little uncomfortable. In American English, we have a very common expression for this situation. Break the ice. And today, I'm going to teach you exactly what it means, when to use it, and how Americans really use it. You will also practice with me. Let's get started. So what does break the ice really mean? Literally, break the ice means to crack frozen water. But in English, we are not talking about real ice. When Americans say break the ice, we mean to make people feel comfortable, to reduce tension, or to start conversation in an awkward situation. I want you to imagine this. You are at a work meeting. You don't know anyone, and everyone is sitting quietly. The room feels stiff, cold, uncomfortable. Then someone says, "So, who here survived the traffic this morning?" People laugh. Someone responds. Suddenly, people start talking. That person broke the ice. They made the situation warmer and more relaxed. Think of it like this. The ice represents silence, tension, and awkwardness, or even social discomfort. And when you break it, conversation can flow. Let's picture these situations. The first day at a new job. It's your first day at work. You walk into the office kitchen. 3 coworkers are standing there. They don't know you yet. It's quiet. You feel nervous. Then one of them says, "Hey, are you the new person?" "Don't worry, we're nice." Most of the time, everyone laughs. That joke breaks the ice. The atmosphere changes immediately. Example number 2, a first date. You're sitting at a restaurant. It's your first date. Both of you are smiling, but nervous. There's a pause in the conversation. Then you say, "Okay, serious question. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?" They laugh. Now you're talking, debating, smiling. You broke the ice. A classroom situation. Imagine now, a teacher walks into the class on the first day. Students are quiet. No one wants to speak first. The teacher says, "Before we start, tell me your name and your most embarrassing moment." Students laugh. Hands go up. The teacher broke the ice. An important business meeting. Now imagine a really important business meeting where 2 companies are meeting for the first time. The atmosphere is formal, serious, very professional. The manager says, "Before we begin, I just want to say how we're really excited to work together. And I promise this presentation is less painful than it looks." People smile, shoulders relax. That small comment broke the ice. Let's look at some other examples of how you'll hear it naturally. "He told a joke to break the ice." Or, "I tried to break the ice." We need something to break the ice. That really broke the ice. Something important I want you to notice though. It's usually used in social situations, first meetings, interviews, team building, and networking. It is very common in professional English. A common mistake that I don't want you to make is do not use this when talking about serious problems. For example, we wouldn't want to say, "We broke the ice about the financial crisis." That sounds unnatural. This idiom is about social tension, not serious global problems. Now repeat after me. Break the ice. Break the ice. Break the ice. In the past, we would say, broke the ice. Broke the ice. Broke the ice. Have you ever finished something and thought, that was so easy? Maybe a test, maybe a workout, maybe a project at work. In American English, instead of saying that was very easy, we usually say piece of cake. And today, I'm going to teach you exactly what it means, when to use it, when not to use it, and you'll practice speaking it naturally. Let's begin. So what does piece of cake mean? Literally, a piece of cake is cake, something sweet, something enjoyable, something easy to eat. In American English, when we say it was a piece of cake, we mean it was very easy, it required little effort, and it wasn't difficult at all. It often carries a feeling of confidence. Let's look at some real-life examples. Example number 1, the easy test. Imagine you studied all week. You walk into the classroom nervous. The teacher gives you the exam. You read the first question. It's exactly what you studied. Second question, easy. Third question, even easier. You finish early. Your friend asks, how was it? You smile and say, it was a piece of cake. That means it was extremely easy. Example number 2, the workout. Imagine your friend says, this workout is intense. You try it. It's simple movements. You're not tired. You're not sweating much. Afterward, they ask, was it hard? You say, no, it was a piece of cake. Example number 3, a job interview question. Let's imagine now that you're in an interview. The interviewer asks, can you explain your experience managing projects? You've done that for years. You answer clearly, smoothly, and confidently. Later, your friend asks you, were you nervous? You say, no, that question was a piece of cake. It felt natural and comfortable. Example number 4, an everyday situation. Let's imagine that your mom asks you a question. She says, can you set up the new TV? You connect 2 cables, press 1 button, and it works immediately. You say, that was a piece of cake. You'll hear this expression all the time. For example, the test was a piece of cake. Or, don't worry, it's a piece of cake. That interview was a piece of cake. Trust me, piece of cake. A quick place I want to draw your attention to. This is informal. You wouldn't usually say this in a very serious, formal, or business meeting. It's casual, friendly, and confident. Now repeat after me. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Have you ever woken up in the morning and felt not quite right? Maybe your head hurts, maybe you feel tired, maybe your body feels weak. You're not seriously sick, but you definitely don't feel well. In American English, we often say, I'm feeling under the weather. Today, I'll show you exactly what this expression means when Americans use it and how you can use it naturally in everyday English. Let's get started. So what does under the weather mean? Literally, under the weather sounds like you're standing under rain or clouds. But in English, we're not talking about actual weather. When Americans say, I'm under the weather, we mean, I feel a little sick, I feel tired or unwell, or my body doesn't feel normal today. Usually, it describes mild illness like a cold, a headache, low energy, or body aches. It's a soft and polite way to say, you don't feel well. Let's look at some real life situations where we would use the idiom under the weather. Imagine you wake up early for work, but your throat hurts. Your head feels heavy. You feel exhausted. You know you shouldn't go to the office. So you send a message to your boss. Good morning. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, so I'm going to stay home. This sounds polite and natural. It's softer than saying, I'm sick. Now I want you to imagine this situation. A student walks into class slowly. They look tired. The teacher asks the student, "Are you okay?" The student says, "I'm just feeling a little under the weather today." Maybe they have a cold, maybe they didn't sleep well. They're not extremely sick, but they don't feel great. Now let's imagine your child wakes up in the morning. They say, "My stomach hurts." They're not vomiting, they're not extremely sick, but they're quiet and tired. You might say, "She's a little under the weather today." I want you to picture this situation now. You plan to meet a friend for coffee, but they text you, "Hey, I'm feeling under the weather today. Can we meet tomorrow instead?" This sounds very natural and polite. Now, this idiom, you'll hear Americans using it all the time. Like, "I'm feeling under the weather," or "She's a little under the weather today." "He stayed home because he was under the weather." "I think I'm coming down with something. I feel under the weather." I want you to notice something important. We often say "a little under the weather." This makes the expression even softer and more natural. Now I want to draw your attention to something really important. This idiom is usually used for mild sickness. If someone has a very serious illness, Americans usually say, "He's very sick," or "She's in the hospital." We don't usually say "under the weather" for something very serious. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Under the weather. Under the weather. Under the weather. Have you ever heard someone say something and immediately think, "Yes, that's exactly right"? They explained the situation perfectly. In American English, we have a common idiom for that moment. We say, "You hit the nail on the head." Today, I'll show you exactly what that expression means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in everyday English. Let's get started. So what does "hit the nail on the head" mean? Let's start with the literal meaning. Imagine someone using a hammer. When you hammer a nail into wood, you want to hit it directly on the head of the nail. If you hit it perfectly, the nail goes straight into the wood. Clean, accurate, exact. But if you miss the head of the nail, the hammer slips. The nail bends. The job becomes messy. So when Americans say, "You hit the nail on the head," we mean you said something exactly right, your explanation is perfectly accurate, or you identified the real problem. It means someone understood something perfectly. Let's look at some real-life situations. I want you to imagine at work that your team is trying to figure out why a project is late. People are suggesting many reasons. Maybe the software is the problem. Maybe the schedule is unrealistic. Maybe the client changed the requirements. Then one person says, "I think the real issue is the communication. The teams are not sharing updates." The room goes quiet. Everyone nods. Someone says, "You hit the nail on the head." This means that explanation is exactly correct. Now, I want you to imagine that you're talking to a friend. Your friend seems stressed. You ask, "Are you okay?" They say they're fine, but you notice something is wrong. You say, "Is it because you're worried about the new job?" Your friend stops and says, "Yes, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head." You understood their feelings perfectly. Now I want you to imagine that you and your friends are discussing a movie. One person says, "The story wasn't bad, but the characters weren't interesting." Everyone immediately agrees. Someone says, "Wow, you hit the nail on the head." That person identified the real reason the movie wasn't good. Let's imagine now this family situation. A child is upset. The parents are trying to understand why. One parent says, I think she's tired. She didn't sleep well last night. The child immediately says, yes, that's it. The other parent says, you hit the nail on the head. Some other ways that you will hear Americans use this idiom are, you hit the nail on the head. She really hit the nail on the head. That comment hit the nail on the head. I think you hit the nail on the head. Notice something important. This idiom is usually used after someone says something very accurate. It's a way of saying you're absolutely right. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. Have you ever been working on something and suddenly you think, that's enough for today? Maybe you're tired, maybe you've done enough work, or maybe you just want to stop and continue tomorrow. In American English, we often say, let's call it a day. Today, I'll show you exactly what that expression means when Americans use it and how you can use it naturally in everyday English. Let's get started. So what does call it a day mean? Literally, the phrase sounds like you're naming or declaring the day finished. But in English, when we say call it a day, we mean stop working, stop doing an activity, or finish for today. It usually means we've done enough. There's no reason to continue right now. Often, people say it because they are tired, the work is finished, progress is slowing down, or it's getting late. Let's imagine some real situations. I want you to imagine that you and a coworker have been working on a project all afternoon. You've reviewed documents, you've answered emails, you've made several important decisions. It's now 6:30 p.m. Your coworker leans back in the chair and says, you know what? We've made good progress today. Let's call it a day. That means stop working for now. Continue tomorrow. Now, I want you to imagine that you start cleaning your house on a Saturday morning. You vacuum the floors, you organize the kitchen, you wash the laundry. But there are still a few things left to do. You feel tired. You look around and say, you know what? The house looks good enough. Let's call it a day. You'll finish the rest later. Now picture this situation. You plan to exercise for an hour. You've already done cardio, weights, stretching. You're tired and sweating. Your friend says, that was a great workout. Let's call it a day. This means we're done for today. Let's imagine now that you're working on a difficult report. You've been staring at the screen for hours. Your brain feels slow. You realize you're making mistakes. You say, I'm too tired to think clearly. I'm going to call it a day. This means you're going to stop now and continue tomorrow. Here are some other ways that you will hear Americans use this idiom. Let's call it a day. I think we should call it a day. I'm going to call it a day. We called it a day around 6 p.m. Notice something important. This idiom is very common in work situations, but people also use it in everyday life. One common mistake that I want to draw your attention to is that this idiom does not always mean the entire day is finished. Sometimes people say it even in the afternoon. It simply means to stop working now, not necessarily that the day is over. Now, let's work on the pronunciation. Repeat after me. Call it a day. Call it a day. Call it a day. Now, if you want to learn more idioms that Americans use every day, make sure to take a look at my playlist listed in the description below.